So unfortunately, over the first weekend of the 2024 NBA playoffs, I would say we got a fairly boring experience, but that has been mitigated by today where we got two classic NBA playoff games back to back. Let's talk about it. Hello everybody, welcome to Asaraz Debugcase. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how this video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So I am going to talk about the Knicks versus Sixers game and the Lakers versus Nuggets game, both of which ending in super dramatic fashion. I'm not talking about the Magic Cavs game. I watched like 50% of it and it was very boring and it just doesn't stand up next to these two games. You know, the Cavs went up big, the Magic made it kind of interesting for a second. Magic's offense sucks. It's not a surprise. But let's first talk about the Knicks versus Sixers. I'm going to start off with just some takeaways for either of these teams before I actually talk about the late game drama, just to give you a picture of what the game looked like before that previous context. First things first, when we're talking about the Knicks, Jalen Brunson is currently on fraud watch. He has been awful in the first two games of this series. He obviously had a very clutch corner three in that late sequence, but in general, dude, he was pretty terrible in this one. He had a couple of mid-range shots in the lane over Batum. Nick Batum was guarding him for a majority of this game. You know, that was cool for the most part. Couldn't get shit to go. He went 8 for 29 from the field. Awful. He also bricked a layup and a corner three that wasn't the other one in the clutch. So yeah, he had that big three, but otherwise that was a pretty shit performance, and thank God he did hit that shot and the game went the way that it did, because frankly we would be slandering him significantly more if that was not the case. And I'm hoping that he can turn that shit around in the postseason from here on out, because if he continues to play this poorly, A, gonna get a lot of crap for it, and B, the Knicks are not going to go as far as they otherwise could, because this was kind of yet another bailout game where the Sixers had every right to win this one, but the Knicks just got some complete fuckery to happen late to allow them to actually get the win. Dante DiVincenzo was also a big factor in this game, where he was not in the first one, similarly to Brunson. He had 19 points, he hit 4 3-pointers after taking 8 attempts in total. He also got a really impressive lefty finish over Joel Embiid. I was feeling throughout this game the idea of the Julius Randle, is this team better or not with him? I do feel as though Randle brings the gravity, the scoring gravity that makes Jalen Brunson's life easier, and they have a two-man game that they have that's definitely useful to go to. So I'm not actually quite sure on if this team's better or not without Julius. I will say they would be better without him also throwing up a bunch of bricks like Brunson was. So, you know, if Randle is just being terrible playoff Randle, I definitely think they're better without him. But, you know, the fact that the scoring options often come down to Josh Hart, and then like Dante DiVincenzo is essentially the second guy in the pecking order of shots, that's just not a great list of options after Jalen Brunson. And I do feel as though Brunson was feeling that pressure of just, and has been feeling that pressure of just being like literally the only guy who can confidently create his own shot all the time. There are other guys that can do it to some degree. Josh Hart continued to do it in this game. Hit a baseline step back mid-range shot, pull up three on the fast break to get a 2-for-1 where he was like leaning forward on the shot. Just in general, really another crazy game from Josh Hart. Once again, 4 for 8 from 3, I think, as he went in game 1 as well. He also hit a very long two-pointer where his foot was on the line, so basically hit 5 threes in this one. He also had 4 stocks. I think 3 steals and a block is what that was. Could be wrong about that though. 15 rebounds. Jesus Christ, man. Like, the fact that he rebounds this well allows them to play as small as they do, because right now OG Anunoby is essentially their power forward, and he's like 6'5", maybe 6'7" at the absolute most, but I feel like he's shorter than that. So they're playing fairly small, but Josh Hart's out there just grabbing every freaking rebound, so what difference does it make? I think they might actually technically list Josh as the power forward because he's been listed at power forward in the past. But what an absolutely ridiculous rebounder. One of the best rebounders relative to his height ever. Like, I mean, I feel like of a 6'4" guys, how many 6'4" guys are better rebounders than Josh Hart literally throughout all of basketball history? I don't know how long of a list it is. There's probably a couple of guys, but Jesus. Yep, I'm going with that. Jesus. Miles McBride in this one, not nearly as good as the first game. In fact, I feel like his shot diet changed dramatically in this one. Less catch and shoot three-pointers, more on-ball creation, and I felt like the Knicks were asking him to do a little bit too much on-ball creation. He had his moments. He hit a jumper over Joel Embiid out of the pick and roll from mid-range. And actually, as I wrote down in my notes that the Knicks were asking him to do too much creation, he hit an and one. I think it was on Batum, like a mid-range fadeaway, right elbow, the free throw line. So that was funny, just the timing of that. Overall, I was right. Like, he went 4 for 11 on 9 points, but it was funny that that timed up the way that it did. Much less dominant game on the offensive glass for the Knicks, although Isaiah Hartenstein obviously had that very key rebound in the late sequence. Bogdanovic, he hit a rainbow three-pointer that was really pretty. That's really the only note that I had, other than the fact that I was watching this game with my girlfriend, but she was just like, who is that old man? He looks like a father. Talking about Bogdanovic, was like, hey, dude can shoot. Then he hit a pretty three. So, hey, that's who that old man is. Hartenstein, really good on both ends. That dude is going to get himself a bag in this offseason. He's a free agent, and man, there are a lot of teams that would love to have him as their starting center. Basically, every team that doesn't have like a bona fide star guy in that spot, Isaiah Hartenstein would probably make for a better option. Would love to see him on the Bulls instead of Vucevic if we're going to continue to try to be competitive. Of course, I'd rather than not do that. But that aside, we're not talking about the Bulls here. Hartenstein defended very well against Joel Embiid. Embiid had himself a good game. He was perfectly fine in this one. Definitely the best game that he's played since, you know, between this and the play-in. But I feel like Hartenstein did a pretty good job defending him, all things considered. All the things being considered, that Joel Embiid's one of the most unstoppable scorers we've ever seen. He stripped him on 3 different occasions. One time he was facing up on him. The other time I think was a drive, and then the other time was he stole it from him from the side out of a post up. Just had a couple of possessions where he stopped him on the ISO, and I feel like not just stopping him in terms of him like missing the shot, but like actually having like clearly bothered Embiid, making him miss the shot, because there were multiple examples of him bothering Embiid and the shot going in otherwise. Specifically the mid-range game for Embiid in this one, to me that was the indicator that he was back for the most part. He still looked a little bit hobbled, still wasn't as quick as he could possibly be, so I'm not going to outright say that he's just back, but the mid-range game, non-factor in either the first game of this series or the play-in tournament, but he could not miss them in this game. He hit an and one long two on the left elbow over Hartenstein. He hit a fadeaway right on the low post where it was like, not like, you know how there's the fadeaway where you fade a little bit, and then a fadeaway where it's like, oh shit, I'm falling, and the defender is an inch away from blocking this shot, and I'm just throwing up a prayer. He hit one of those kind of fadeaways over Hartenstein from that right elbow. That was another moment where I was like, yeah, this guy's back. He is back. Also, the play where I really knew Embiid was back, I think this was in the first half, I think second quarter. I can't even begin to explain what happened here. He tries to foul bait like that someone hit him. I don't even know what he was going for. I think someone swiped at the ball, but he goes to foul bait and like throws the ball up in the air and flails his arms and shit. The refs don't call it, and then he catches the ball, which is a turnover because he traveled. So he traveled trying to get a foul call. Me personally, that's not something that makes me just outright not respect a basketball player, but in moments like that, I kind of understand where that comes from. But back to the positive things about him, he was also making really strong reads. Tyrese Maxey was amazing in this one, and one of the big plays of the game was a Maxey catch and shoot three at the top of the key, which happened because Maxey threw Embiid the ball in the post. Embiid immediately recognized the double team that was happening as it was happening, and then tossed the ball right back to Maxey, who was wide open for the three-pointer. He hit that shot. He also hit a floater that I believe tied the game or took the lead. In general, he played super composed. He finished with 35 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds, just one shy of the triple-double. And before I get to the end of this game, let me just make one more note here about Kelly Oubre's defense. Kind of been great this series, and Kelly, I don't think I've ever known him to be a bad defender, but he's also not like a great one, typically speaking. But he was phenomenal defensively in this game. He blocked Jalen Brunson from behind on a free throw line jumper. That was the play that stuck out to me the most. But yeah, just hustling and trying his best. I think this last year, just like his money in the NBA no longer being as guaranteed, him getting big money, just not. I think he's on a very small contract with the Sixers. I think it's kind of just that kind of like wakes up the hustle in players often when the job's not as cushy as it used to be. But yeah, as for the end of this game, wow. I don't even really know where to start. So Jalen Brunson gets it, and then he manages to take a high elevation over a Maxey contest three-pointer, and the way that he's been shooting all night, I think literally the scramble was off of a missed shot from him. The way he's been shooting all night, it's like, yeah, dude, the shot's not going in. And then it doesn't until it does. Philly, I guess, is probably used to clutch shots that bounce in last second, but good Lord, I wasn't. Bounce in was crazy. So when that shot went in, I was like, oh, well, maybe there's a chance. For what it's worth, New York was leading most of this game. It looked like Philadelphia stole this from them, but there was a turnover off of the inbound. New York has the ball. They get it to Dante DiVincenzo for a three-pointer. He misses it. Isaiah Hartenstein rebound, pass to OG. OG pass back to somehow DiVincenzo is open again. Hits the three-pointer this time to tie it up. Yeah, crazy ending. Crazy sequence. It reminded me of Reggie Miller and his three-pointer steal off the inbound three-pointer that he did against the Knicks in the playoffs in the 90s. Obviously, it's two different players who did this. It was more of a team sequence and not just one guy individually pulling it all off. But it was a hell of a thing, and they ended up scoring 8 points in 27 seconds in total to steal this one from the Sixers, who were trying to steal this one from them. Truly a crazy fucking ending to that game. And then from that point, I'm going into the Lakers versus Denver game thinking that, yeah, we're probably going to have a relatively chill experience here, as Denver just absolutely dumpsters LA. But as it turns out, LA was actually the one throwing haymakers out of the gate, as they actually got a pretty significant lead in this one. Specifically just because the shooting was electric for the Lakers. They end up going 13 for 30 as a whole on the game, which is 43%. A lot of that happened in the first half of this game as they were building that lead. But they were also hitting a bunch of pretty crazy mid-range shots. Austin Reeves hit a crazy one. LeBron hit like 2 or 3. Just so many shots in this game that seemed fairly unreasonable to me that they would go in at all. And so many of them did. So for that reason, pretty damn excellent performance from the Lakers across the board. And the fact that they lost this game is kind of just proof that there's really nothing they can do to actually beat this Denver team. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First things first, who stands out in this game is D'Angelo Russell, because of course he had that horrible game one, and there was a lot of discussion about, you know, how good is D'Angelo Russell? How much is he worth? This is the same discussion we had about him last year after the playoffs versus the Denver Nuggets. And we thought that, the fact that he was just repeating history here is just like, man, this guy's value is cooked. Like, yeah, he was great in the regular season, but it seems like he just does not show up in any capacity in this kind of environment. But then he goes 3 for 3 right to open this game. And I'm like, oh shit, I think he's figured it out. I mentioned a level of confidence that he played with in the play-in game, and we didn't really see that in game 1 of this series, but that confidence was right back there, and I just can't imagine how good it must have felt to hit those that third three-pointer where it's like, oh, I'm on fire for real. He proceeded to hit 2 more, and then he decided to ruin his perfect efficiency by taking a heat check that was admittingly almost went in, but still, it was kind of annoying to me. He hit a corner 3 to beat the shot clock in the third quarter. He hit a floater off of the glass to take the lead, which is about a minute left. Overall, he hit 7 3-pointers, just an absolute huge bounce back from game 1, and really could make a I mean, who am I kidding? The Lakers aren't going to win this fucking series, but hey, if D'Lo's alive for the rest of this one, especially to this degree, it can at the very least make it interesting as it did in this game. Now, D'Lo, as good as he was not the player of the game for the Lakers, because that has to go to LeBron James, who was LeBron James in this one. And I don't just mean old LeBron. I'm telling you that I got a feeling watching LeBron in this game that I feel like I haven't felt since like at least 2018, where it's like, whoa, dude. This guy is really fucking unstoppable. LeBron has not seemed this unstoppable to me in a very, very long time. Now, he finished with like 28 points. Not that crazy, but I believe 14, if I did the math correctly, of those points came in the fourth quarter. A lot of that was some three-point shooting. He hit 2 major ones. One of them was off of the dribble, off of an Anthony Davis screen that they left him open on. And one of them was a very deep one where we caught it off of the inbound and just launched it over Aaron Gordon. Later, he would proceed to steal the ball from Jamal Murray when they were doing the Murray-Jokic 2-man game, the pick and roll. Jamal decided to jump for a jumper but didn't want to commit to it, tried to throw a pass, but LeBron read it perfectly and stole it. And then he took it all the way for an and one dunk. The dunk was on and one, just a poster. The and one was the fadeaway that preceded it, or followed it rather. Yeah, that one was just a fadeaway. I think it was Aaron Gordon in the lane, just found the space and swished it. And then he got a driving layup off of an Anthony Davis screen late to take the lead. He did miss a wide open three-pointer that probably would have won them the game, and at the very least would have staved off Jamal Murray's game winner. So from that end, I mean, I'm sure Skip Bayless is going to have a field day with that one. I already saw him on the timeline saying shit. That's just the way that this goes, where we're going to ignore the fact that LeBron otherwise had an excellent fourth quarter. I realize the importance that is emphasized on the final shot, but it's also important to note that the only reason the final shot mattered in any capacity is because LeBron stepped up to make it a game. But that aside, crazy shooting for the Lakers as a whole in this game. Everything really went their way and then some. Just to mention a couple of shots that weren't just like the LeBron and D'Lo ones. There were 2 major ones that really stood out to me. Taurean Prince hit a step back three on the left elbow to beat the shot clock. That one was crazy. And then there was a right elbow mid-range fadeaway, right baseline for Austin Reeves that like was borderline a foul and was incredibly off balance, and I was shocked that it went in. Spencer Dinwiddie, it absolutely fucking baffles me that he's in this rotation in any capacity. I don't know what is wrong with Darvin Ham's head, but Jesus, Spencer Dinwiddie does not belong in any team's postseason rotation. There are at least 10 players better on the Lakers. In fact, I'm going to go look at every player. I'm not kidding. I don't know who Maxwell Lewis is, but Max Christie and Jared Vanderbilt, both of them better options. Jackson Hayes, okay, guys who played less minutes than Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, it was Jackson Hayes. He played 6. Jackson Hayes would have been better to play. Gabe Vincent played 15 minutes, which is only 5 minutes more. It would have been better just to give him all of Spencer Dinwiddie's minutes. 10-minute stretch that he played, he managed to go -9, which is a team worst plus minus. He shot the ball 1 time, which is, of course, the thing that you have Spencer Dinwiddie for, is for him to score the ball, right? Yeah, well, he shot the ball once doing cardio out there, and he missed it, and it was a fucking airballed layup. There was a chance it was blocked, but from my point of view, it looked like an airballed layup. Can't believe he was playing at all, period. bananas. And honestly, they probably literally lost the game in that stretch that he played. And I'm not saying that -9 is entirely his fault, but it sure as shit was partially. And damn, if they just had a real NBA player in the game, maybe that would have made the difference. And then one where literally the margins are as small as 1 point or 2 points. I think it was a 2-point win, right? The Lakers played great defense throughout this entire game and actually bothered Denver for quite a while. They always figure it out. Denver always does, but I feel like this was the longest it's taken them to figure it out in any matchup with these teams, and probably the longest I've seen with them, period, where they struggled to this degree. There was a play in particular that made it clear that the game was going to go the other direction to me, and that was the Lakers were continuing to play the great defense that they were, and really they probably played their best defensive possession at this point on the play that I'm thinking of, and it resulted in a bucket, and that's where I was like, oh, okay. Well, the fact that you play defense like this and you still got a good look, it's over. Yeah, Jokic is in the post. They're defending every back cut, every cutting option for 3 off of screens, all of that. They're on top of it. They're rotating. Like, they keep passing it back and forth to Jokic in the post, and they're bringing doubles and then rotating perfectly in sequence to get back to, you know, whoever would get open from that double team. Like, by the time the pass is over there, the defender's over there. And then Christian Braun cuts down the lane. This is the only thing they left even remotely open. Jokic throws the ball to him, and he hits it's like an 8-foot mid-range jumper, which, like, Christian Braun mid-range catch and shoot is not something you're usually that concerned about, but it's close enough to the basket that it's like, yeah, almost every NBA player with a even remotely okay jump shot is going to make that shot. So yeah, that's kind of when I knew it was going to go the opposite way. Also, I do actually let me give LA some credit in this regard. Not only did they have that incredible shooting, but once you could feel Denver starting to pull away with it, I feel like LA did a damn good job of staving that off, because there were a lot of points in this game where there could have very easily just been an avalanche and the Nuggets just take a huge lead. But honestly, you know, while they did not maintain the level of shooting efficiency that they started with, LeBron, because of how clutch he was, they still managed to hang with them all the way till the very last shot. I feel like most of the time they would have folded so much earlier and there wouldn't have even been an opportunity for a game-winning shot to happen. Yeah, LA did a damn good job in this game, and they still lost because it's Denver. It's just Denver, and they love to play with their food, and they love to make it feel like you can win just for them to execute perfectly in the fourth quarter. I definitely think this was a sloppier game from them. Some poor execution in there. Jokic, for one, for 20 minutes straight with no points. 20 minutes straight with no points is kind of nuts for him. However, even with that, he woke up in the third quarter, and this isn't like the case of, you know, poking the bear. I don't think anything happened in particular to piss him off, other than maybe, you know, it felt like there was some momentum shifting towards Denver from other players making plays, and he was kind of like, oh shit, we're playing basketball? I guess I'm gonna go cook real quick. But like I said, this wasn't the case of someone poking the bear, more the bear just waking up from hibernation and immediately fucking shit up. Finished the game with 27, 20, and 10, which was the 8th 20, 20, and 10 game in playoff history. And guess what? Of the 8 that have happened, he has 4 of them, including this one. 4 times he's had 20, 20, and 10 in the playoffs. For the basketball history nerds out there, the other 4 players to do this were Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Kareem, and Dave Cowens. He hit multiple clutch shots. The one that really stands out to me in this game, really, as he was turning things up, and this happened late here, I think in the last couple minutes of the game. He gets the ball and dribbles it up the floor, goes into the post right at Anthony Davis, gets him with an up and under, and he gets fouled on it and won. Just a truly dominant play, just like, you know what, I guess I am the best player in the NBA. I'll go do that real quick. Jamal Murray, he's going to get a lot of the spotlight from this one, of course, because they hit the game winner. Honestly, not a very good game from him in spite of that. He had 20 points on 24 shots, but similar to Jokic, turned it up in the fourth quarter. Was still hitting a lot of big shots in that game, and it wasn't just the game winner. Michael Porter Jr. was money all game. He also hit a really clutch 3-pointer. He also had a play that was baffling to me because Michael Porter Jr. has never seen a shot he did not like, and he actually had a fairly open fast break 3-pointer, but he passed it to Aaron Gordon down low, who got 2 free throws that he made. Last thing I want to note before I do get to the very end of this game, Peyton Watson was kind of so-so. He only played about 12 minutes, and in general, pretty interesting rotation distribution for Denver. They played like a couple of guys 13 to 8 minutes. Reggie Jackson, he was bad. He played 8 minutes and went 0 for 5. They kind of pulled him after they were like, damn, this guy's not making any shots. Justin Holiday got 13 minutes, including some in the early fourth quarter, but the only thing he did that I can remember was a wide open corner three that he missed. Christian Braun, he was easily their best bench piece. 13 minutes, scored 10 points, obviously played great defense, had that mid-range shot in the lane that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, Christian was the one who won the role player of the day for the Nuggets. But in general, it's like, if that starting lineup can just all play enough games between the 5 of them, you can have just a so-so bench showing and it doesn't fucking matter at all. This team really loves playing with their food, even when it comes down to the buzzer. Again, I think sloppy, and again, I think LA did enough to be like, hey, stop playing with your food, because we can actually just choke you. I don't know where this metaphor is going. Anyways, the Nuggets are making a run to close the gap. LeBron keeps hitting shots, keeps hitting threes. Jokic goes at AD and gets the and one in the post on the up and under, as I previously mentioned. Then there's a play where Jokic is like, thinks he gets fouled and shoots the ball, but no whistle is called. Aaron Gordon gets a save, though. He saves it from going out of bounds, throws it to Michael Porter Jr., who gets it all net despite a decent contest from the side. That made it a tied game with about a minute or so left to go. LeBron drove inside off of an Anthony Davis screen. Really easy layup, shockingly easy shot given this context. But then Jamal Curry, wow, there's a Freudian slip for you. Jamal Murray hit a contested mid-range shot over LeBron, the first of, I guess, telegraphing the second one to come. LeBron, open three that he missed, as I previously mentioned. Jamal gets the ball, takes it up the court, and he hits a fadeaway over Anthony Davis for the win. I think there was some two-man game action between him and Jokic, but in general, it was just a crazy shot from a crazy player who is known for being crazy clutch in these postseason settings. Yeah, what a game, dude. Such a fun ending for both of these. A dog fight the whole way through for both of these teams. I love basketball, man. That's all I could feel this whole time. I was writing down all these damn notes with glee. So many pages worth as well, but I don't know if you could tell by how dense these videos have been getting lately, but I've just been getting more and more enthralled with the more intricate details, and I also just want to cover what's happening more, actually illustrating these plays, because I'm writing them down so I'm remembering them, rather than when previously in my head I'm like, I'm gonna remember that play, surely. I won't, though. I'll forget it, and I won't say it, and I'll be like, I don't know what to talk about at this point in the video. I don't struggle to find shit to talk about doing it like this. But yeah, that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.